welcome back to another voice workshop. My name is Savvy, and today I will be teaching you how you can feminize your voice, masculinize your voice, or make it sound androgynous, or really just take your voice to wherever you want it to be. First of all, welcome to this new world. New setting, beautiful sky, nice dim lamps, amazing stage. We don't have slides today, however, so a lot of my explanations will be vocal only, so I hope you will be able to forgive me for that. I'm quite used to teaching without slides anyways during my lessons, so I think we should be a-okay. For those of you who aren't new here, you might notice that my voice is a little bit quieter than usual because we generally have a way to amplify the voice on stage. So I ask of you to please come closer if you want to hear my voice a little bit louder, or maybe just click on my name and turn my volume up, and do the same for those who might move up on stage. All right? Just make sure to not get too much in front of the camera. That's all I ask for. Thank you so much for your understanding. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about voice, or rather about vocal hygiene. When it comes to voice, we have to be really careful not to forget to drink water, because voice is very finicky and fickle. When we use voice, we use what we call vocal cords. We also call them vocal folds, and they're quite literally little flaps of flesh that open and close really fast, a few hundred times per second. So when you use your voice, you always want to be sure to drink water 10 to 15 minutes before voice practice. That is because when you drink the water, it does not go down to your vocal folds. Otherwise, it would go down your lungs and you would have a really bad time. The way your vocal folds hydrate is instead through the blood flow. So by warming up your voice gently, by doing some gentle sounds, by letting the water act and hydrate your vocal folds, this is the way you will have the best time with your voice. Other thing to take note of is certain medications are known to be dehydrating to the body, not to your voice alone, but to the rest of the body generally. So some of these medications, like spironolactone or hay fever medication, or really any other medication that might have that side effect, can potentially make your voice work a little bit more tricky. So of course, you shouldn't stop taking that medication, okay? Take the medication you have it for a reason. But maybe try to work around it. If you can take the medication right before sleep so it doesn't impact you during the day, or if you take the medication in the morning, do instead the voice work during the afternoon, evening, etc., etc. All right, with that said, let's get into what is voice about. So no slide today, so I'll just, I guess, use my body as a reference. So how does voice function? Well, first and foremost, we have air in our lungs, right? Very simple. That air, once we push it out, moves up a pipe that we call the trachea. And once we move up the trachea, we reach a voice box, which we call the larynx. The larynx is right on your neck. You can take your hand and put it on your neck, and you can maybe feel a little bump there. It might be more or less prominent, depending on how much testosterone has affected your voice or not, but we all have that bump here. The bump you feel is the cartilage part of your voice box, right? And so that whole voice box we also call the larynx. And this is where it gets interesting. The air moves up our lungs, up the trachea, and reaches the larynx. And then what? Well, within that voice box, you'll find little flaps which vibrate from bottom to top thanks to the air that we provide from below. All right? That air will set the vocal folds in motion. They'll open and close really fast, click extremely fast, and create a pitch, right? So it will just create a frequency, or actually a multitude of frequencies. And so once we create that sound, which we call the source sound, it will then move up. And it will move up to my mouth, it will move up to my nose, it will move up in my pharynx, which is the tube that is behind the mouth and the nose that connects the two together. And all of this space can actually be modulated. When I say any word, when you speak and you use your tongue and lips to say a, o, I, u, e, you always use a different physical shape and position of your tongue and of your lips. And this is how language works. We just modify the physical properties of the filter that is our mouth, our nose, etc. And so very simply put, we can modify that filter. Because if you think about it, when we want to feminize the voice, we want to revert the effects of testosterone. And when we want to masculinize the voice, we want to mimic the effects of testosterone. So you might ask me, okay, so I know now that voice functions thanks to air that moves up, that sets little flaps in motion, and then those flaps in motion create a sound that gets filtered out? Well, you would be correct. That is exactly what happens. But what exactly makes the difference between a masculine voice and a feminine voice? It will come down to testosterone exposure. So if you have, let's say, testosterone exposed to you when you're in the teenage years, 3 things will happen. The first thing is that your Adam's apple, your larynx, which was usually up, will eventually
start dropping down, which would result in a much bigger throat space. As you might hear, my voice sounds a lot more hollow now, a lot more darker, kind of dopey. The third thing that happens is my vocal folds, they vibrate really fast, but testosterone makes them longer. And as the testosterone makes my vocal folds longer, they can now start to vibrate a lot slower. And as they vibrate slower, now I have a really big vocal tract and a really low pitch as well. And the third thing that testosterone does to your voice is that it increases the muscle mass, not just in my arms and the rest of my body, but also in my voice. And as you can now hear it, I have a really strong boomy voice. And this is how we achieve a masculine voice, by mimicking these effects that testosterone would do or has done to your voice. And if you
want to feminize your voice, you want to revert all these 3 things all together. We can go through this step by step, of course, and that is what I'll be hopefully be doing with some of you today as well. All right, so again, we want to do 3 things when it comes to feminizing the voice, or sorry, to masculinizing the voice. We want to drop the larynx,
achieve a bigger size that sounds more dark. We want to go from a high pitch to a low pitch with slow vibrating vocal folds. And we want to go from those thinner vocal folds that have very relaxed muscles to vocal folds that have more tense muscles and that sound thicker and give you a beefier sound. And if you want to achieve a femme voice,
you want to revert all these 3 things. Okay? All right, awesome. I mentioned before that we should do some warm-ups before doing some voice work, and this is my favorite part of these workshops. So let's try doing these. What I want you to do is, for now, you can unmute yourselves, and we'll try doing these warm-ups together. All right, let's give this a try. I'll do a warm-up, I'll go first, and then we'll do this together. So I go first.
Oh.
Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. And back down. Oh. Very good. Awesome. Let's try it one more. This time I'm going to do a Z sound, as in the word zoo. I go first. Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. Very good. Let's try one last one. This time I'm going to do what we call a lip trill. It sounds like this. You make your lips bubble. And I go first. Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. All right, good job. Now that is our warm-up complete. Of course, you might want to do a little bit more of this when you are in like your practice days. I typically tend to do this for like a good minute or 2 after waking up and a little bit before going to sleep. It kind of relaxes the voice back. So yeah, that is what we call a vocal warm-up. We actually call this a softy, SOVTE. It stands for semi-occluded vocal tract exercise. I just call it a warm up, to be honest. But it does have an important effect on your voice, which is by creating these slight obstructions, either with the O shape of your lips. Oh, the sound is a little bit contained with the lips being rounded in the front. Or if you do a Z sound, zzz, so your teeth and tongue are in the way. Or if you do a lip trill, brrr, then your lips are literally in the way. You create pressure at the level of your mouth, which actually counteracts the pressure from your lungs. Not exactly 100%, perfect cancellation of the pressure from your lungs, but it helps the vocal folds a lot when you just want to start having them vibrate, but do it so gently to warm up your voice properly. Okay, that's about it. So now let's get into the next part, which is I'll have up on stage two people who want to feminize their voices and two people who want to masculinize their voices. If you want to get on stage, please raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji. I'll be starting today with fem voice. So if you want to get up on stage, all right, I see someone here. I'm not sure how to say your name. Is it Kinnick?
I'm gonna
Cynic,
try and
perhaps?
change my name, so it's KY Kai.
Okay, KY Kai, come up on stage then. Come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to KY Kai. Woo! Come closer. Come on, don't be scared. All right. Oh, all right. Very good. Awesome. So, hi. So is it Kai? Is it Kai good?
Yeah, Kai
for name?
works. Kai's great.
Awesome. All right. Awesome. So, Kai, I'm just gonna to keep track of time. Start a little timer. So, all right. Give me a sec. She might be voice savvy, but she's not technologically savvy. That's me. Okay, so Kai, welcome up on stage. Is this the first time you're in one of these workshops?
It is. It wasn't super easy to find either. There should be a
I
sign.
know. I know there should be a sign. The world is completely new. You'll have to forgive us. We also usually have slides to showcase different concepts of voice and such. Not today, however, so we hope to get this rolling by next week. But yes. Okay, so Kai, welcome to one of these workshops. Are you familiar with the concept of resonance or vocal tract size, darkness and brightness? Are you
I am.
familiar with pitch? Okay,
I've
let me
watched
know about it.
a lot of the videos.
Oh, okay. A lot of the
And
videos
I've
from
watched
the Academy?
some of them for the Academy, some of them all the way through, yeah.
All right, that's awesome. So you're quite familiar with this. All right, awesome. Well, in that case, if you already know a little bit and are familiar with your voice, with voice in general, I would ask you, what exactly would you like to work regarding your voice? If you know where your voice is at, or do you want to?
I feel like it's a
Yes.
little Muppety, and I would like it to be like, you know, super femme, or close enough that works with my anatomy.
All right, interesting choice of words. That word with your anatomy. Like, do you feel like a tall person that you would kind of maybe vibe better with a lower kind of femme voice? Or you did say that you like the higher pitches. Maybe you want to
My
take your voice all the way up here, perhaps. You know?
I do have curiosity about that because I'm like, okay, so you can go into a falsetto, which is like Muppety or something.
Yeah, falsetto sounds kind of fake for a lot of different reasons. I totally get that. So you say your voice sounds Muppety right now. I struggle to hear that Muppet-like sound in there.
My
Okay,
natural
yeah,
range is really pretty low, and like I can only hit
okay,
like as far as pitch wise, like a little bit below middle C or a little bit above. I don't know, like
okay,
normal range is pretty high for me, like way too high
okay. Gotcha.
musically.
What's normal range? Because I have my own kind of range that I give to people. I generally say somewhere from E3 up to C4. I think it's a pretty realistic average, leaning slightly low fem voice kind of vibe. You don't need to go above in the fourth octave and beyond if you want to sound femme. It's not a necessity. Just the same way that there's a lot of different femme voices. You can have very high-pitched femme voices. You can have more medium-range femme voices, and you can have really low-pitch ranged femme voices. It really depends on
Uh,
what you're looking for.
uh, I would like it to be like kind of mainstream in the mainstream of it female, but then like this would be like as high as I could hit as far as pitches go, and like regularly without being like crazy.
All right,
And
very good.
even then, like it doesn't leave a lot of room for you know, modulating up.
Right. Right. What I'm hearing is a little bit of cracking in your voice, right? Like typically you're like at these high pitches and you kind of like break into like not full, well, you would call this falsetto, I would call this M2, but yes, we're kind of like in the similar thing here. So when it comes to voice, right, we have different ways that our vocal folds can vibrate, right? Either they vibrate with a full bodied motion, the vocal folds properly close together and open again on each cycle that they vibrate, or you can get an M2 sound, what you would call falsetto, right? Which is kind of like this sound, which sounds a bit fake. And it sounds fake because the vibration of the vocal folds is not actually, doesn't actually see the vocal folds fully closed, right? So because the vocal folds do not fully close on that case, we tend to get that more breathy sound, right? Like it sounds kind of hollow, right? Like it does not sound like a full voice here. It sounds a bit fake, right? You would actually need to close the vocal folds a bit up here to make that same pitch sound a bit more natural, like that, right? And so what I'm hearing is that you're weaving in and out of that M1 and M2 range, but your M2 kind of sounds, well, hollow, like that falsetto, and I agree, it kind of gives a bit of the Muppet vibe to the voice. So we would have to fix M2 to make it sound a little bit thicker, to basically engage more of the vocal fold body in the phonation process, and also perhaps practice brightening your voice.
I could also just try making sure that it was lower, but still kind of convincing.
Right. So you can go lower, but also kind of convincing. So when you're looking at lower pitches, it can be a bit easier because you still have some range upwards for expression and some range downwards as well. One thing you have to be careful with is because the lower pitches overlap with your masc range, right? Because I can very much do
Go really high and still sound masculine.
or go go really low and still sound feminine, right? And so you can notice that there's an overlap on these pitches, right? So that overlap happens because the gender modification of voice generally happens through shrinking the vocal tract, as you already know, and by softening the voice, in case you have a thick voice to start with, that is. Because, of course, not everyone has a similar starting point. You might have a starting point that's different than mine, that's different than yours, etc., etc. So, what's your starting point actually with voice? I wonder if you're okay sharing with that.
Just sounds like this. Like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
mean,
like we're
it's a
kinda, like,
pretty
down
solid
here.
baritone, bassy.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Like it has like a lot of vocal fold mass too, so I can tell that you've properly softened up your voice and you have brought your pitch higher and you've also made your voice brighter. Like your femme voice really makes your masc voice unrecognizable. That is very good. Okay. I don't know if it's good, but it is what I'm noticing.
That is totally what I'm trying.
All right, awesome. So, well, in that case, this is where it's going to suck to not have the slides because I don't have sentences for you to read. So you'll have to listen closely and remember the sentences, I guess. All right, so what I want you to do is I first want to see how you set up your brightness, right? Like, how do you set up your femme voice? So, please mimic after me. Let's do a big, dark pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Pet that cat. Oh, was it supposed to
Sorry,
be femme?
I meant no. I meant to do it on a whisper. So you did it like on a full voice.
Pat that cat.
I want it to be like a dark whisper.
Pat that cat.
I think your noise suppression might cut off your voice here a little bit. Be sure to deactivate it. Okay, pat that cat. Okay, now what I want you to do is go from that dark pat to a bright pat. Pa, 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 pat that cat. Okay, Okay, so careful here. I noticed this. He kind of started having like some kind of trill happening here. That's probably your false vocal folds. You use those for like screaming, for middle vocals and whatnot. For fem voice, you want to avoid that. So you don't want to push your voice so far that it triggers that form of distortion. Always try to go for a really gentle whisper. That will help sustain your voice in the long run as well. Super easy, super gentle. Yes, and now let's close the vocal folds on this. Pat that cat.
Pet that cat.
All right, good. Pat that cat. Again, monotonously.
Pet that cat.
That's very good. Can you say that mad brat?
That mad brat.
That mad brat sat.
That mad brat sat.
A little bit of an iffy here at the start. That mad. Let's try this again. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
I do hear a little bit of that. That mad brat sat on that. Not quite like. I can tell there's some form of constriction happening, and I do think this is probably due to the false vocal folds, especially once I've heard you say. I can tell that the whispers that you do to achieve a femme voice tends to be very squeezed, and that squeeze can make your voice sound very distorted, right? So in the worst case scenario, it can make you sound like a witch or like a grandma, right? On a lesser bad scenario, which is kind of more what you have, it kind of like disrupt the voice a little bit, kind of like this. It's very discreet, right? But like it can make the vibration of the vocal folds kind of unpredictable at times. And I think that's something close to what you're achieving yet with your voice. And I think that's also what's probably playing into that Muppety quality. So what I would say is you would probably want to relearn how to do those whispers, or at least not to relearn, but like learn to relax those whispers. It's really important to have a very steady, slow airflow. Like it should feel just as easy to breathe with that bright position as it would with your masc voice, right? Like that's easy. But in femme voice, if you have this, then yeah, of course it's going to end up giving you a squeezed voice that's going to have a lot of instabilities in it. So what I would say is you have a really solid starting point, but you have some of that constriction, I think, that kind of makes your voice a bit unstable. You have no issues to reach that really bright spot, but you might, in doing so, involve some of that muscle process that can make your voice a little bit unpredictable and shaky. So what I would recommend is for you to really try to soften and smoothen the voice mostly, and make sure that the whisper that you use to achieve that voice is really quiet and gentle. Try the exercise of the silent H sound. Take the word hot, for example. You can say hot for strong H. Try it out. Hot.
Hot.
Right?
Hot.
When you do that strong H, you can feel the friction against your vocal folds. It's very drying, but it's also like really stiff of the vocal fold position. But you want to go towards a more quiet and quiet H. So from a to a silence, right? And once you achieve that, you can try to set up your voice with that silent breath. Try it out.
Hot. Hot.
Good. And now from here, hot, that mad brat sat.
That mad brat sat. That mad brat sat.
Oh, careful. That mad brat sat. Maybe you're still unused to. Da, 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 da. We are at G sharp 3. Which brings me to the question is, how familiar are you with like your higher range? Like using those higher pitches. Because you did mention before at the start of this lesson that around C4 and above, it's kind of iffy, kind of still. So you could take the time to practice holding these pitches for as long as possible. Like try to hold that pitch for 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds more to really like practice that monotonous pitch, but at least like practice being stable with it. Okay? So try to set up your voice with the quieter whispers. Practice these higher pitches to make sure that they stay in your M1 voice and that they don't crack too easily into M2. And yeah, holding these pitches will make that a lot easier. Honestly, the things we did with brightness, I think you pretty much figured it out really well on your own. So I think I don't have any issues on that, except for the potential stiffness part, the false vocal fold constriction part. And yeah, that's pretty much the advice I have for you. Okay?
Thanks so much.
You're very welcome. Yes.
Do I modulate like up and down? Like
Do you
do I
modulate up
vary
and
my
down?
pitch? Like them wise?
It's a bit complicated to say. I wasn't able to hear too much of your voice. I would say you do, but because your pitch range is a bit limited as of yet, and because of that, like, that kind of stiffness up there, I would say, like, I can tell you're trying, but it's kind of breaking still. So, like, I think you would want to also practice going between your M1 and M2 range, so between your modal voice and your falsetto voice. So instead of having like a like a voice crack, you'd want to have a soften your voice as you go up, and you don't hear the crack. Both on the way up, and on the way down, right? To avoid things like or right? This is very common at the start of practicing because you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I regain my M2 range? How do I regain this whole range and make it part of my own voice? Right? So it might take a bit of exploring. I would definitely recommend that you practice like a pitch monitor, which you probably already do, given that you're already aware of the different pitches. All right, perfect. So, all right, I hope that answers your question. Everyone give a big round of applause to Kai! Woo!
Yay!
Nice job.
Okay.
Good job.
Good job. All right. So next up on stage, I'll have someone who wants to masculinize their voices. If you want to make your voice sound more masculine, jump in place, or raise your hand, or use the hand emoji. All right. Masc voice going once, masc voice going twice, masc voice going thrice. All right. No masc voice user. We're doing an extra fem voice round. All right. So let's see. Lulu. I can't read your name. Lulu Bun?
Lulu Bunai.
Bunai.
Lulu Bunai.
Lulu Bunai. All right, come up on the stage. Come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to Lulu Bunai. Woo!
Yay!
All right.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome. All right. I like the pronouns here. She, sheesh. All right. So let's get started. We got a few minutes starting now. All right. Hello, Lulu. First time in one of these workshops?
I think it's my third or fourth time here at part of the
Oh, wow.
audience.
All right. Awesome. First time on stage then. Welcome. So you're familiar with all the stuff we talk about. Vocal tract size, vocal fold mass, whether it's thick or thin, whether the pitch is high or low, whether the voice is bright or dark. You're familiar with all these concepts, yeah?
More or less. I would say I tried self-voice training for very on and off for a long time, but I don't think
Okay.
I'm where I want to be yet.
What would you say is the bottleneck for your voice currently?
I guess nasally, and trying to figure out if I want it to be high or like more on the lower end feminine voice, which I'm trying something new. I'm trying to lean towards the more lower end because I guess I hit puberty early, so trying to adjust to
Okay.
that.
That's totally fair. So, I have to say a few things. So when it comes to the higher pitches, I'm getting a very fem read, no issue. Like, it's very bright, it's high in pitch, it's soft, but when you go to lower pitches, like, you speak like this, and then you go, like, to lower pitches, and, like, it sounds quite thick, and then you go back up, and then you go, like, down to lower pitches, and it sounds thick again. I think the main thing we'd like to work on, if you want to practice that lower fem voice, then you'd like to learn how to soften up these lower pitches, right? Because right now they have a little bit too much vocal fold mass, perhaps due to the puberty, as you were saying before. So we generally want to move away from this vocal fold mass because you can tell I kind of sound like a little goblin a little bit, like especially with the brightness that's there. Like if I didn't have that brightness, then I would just sound masc, right? So I have that brightness, but I have too much vocal fold mass, so you can hear like the frequencies spilling out of my mouth. So you would want to like soften that sound and make that part of your voice. So let's try and practice this. Okay, so let's say the sentence pat that cat very simply. I want you to do kind of like a call and response thing with me. So mimic after me. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Super fem. Awesome. Let's go lower. Da da da. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Da da da. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
So far, so good. The pitch we're at is a G3. Now we're going to start to move towards the lower pitches. F sharp 3. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Good. Pat that cat on F3.
Pat that cat.
Right there. Pat that cat. It starts to get louder, right? You're starting to rely a bit more on that vocal fold mass. So let's try this again. This time, I want you to try this. Give me the quietest sound you can possibly make. Like, super quiet.
Around here.
This is good, alright. And now we're going to take that same sound and go down with it.
Guess around here, I suppose. I think.
There's no there's no such thing as an around here if you do around here. So I think you noticed it. It's okay. You're doing great. So that was super soft, and you went down all the way down to C3, sounding really soft, right? That's very good. That's what we want. So I want you to match my pitch here. Pat that cat. Really soft, really low. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Yes, just like this.
Cat.
It's a little bit breathy. I hear like a pat that cat. I want to hear more of a pat that cat. So try to push less air. Not a but a. Well, you can't even hear it.
Right. Pat that cat.
Not quite there?
Cat.
Yes. That last one was really good. Pat that cat. Alright, very good. So now, we're at C sharp 3. Pat that cat. Let's try to intonate upwards. Pat that cat. Da da da.
Pat that cat.
Very
Pat
good.
that
And
cat.
nice. And let's go down. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Very
Pat
good.
that cat.
Awesome. Pat that cat. All right. Now let's try to say,
Interesting.
are you familiar with the sentence, that mat brat sat on that flat mat? You've heard it a little bit during the other workshops, perhaps.
Oh yeah, I did see it, but it's hard to remember. Kind of like a tongue
Let's
twister.
just say that that mad brat just sat somewhere. I don't know. It sat in a random place each time. It's a Schrödinger cat, kind of.
Mhm,
It's not a
mhm.
cat, it's a brat. But you get it. It's a bratty cat. Anyways, let's try this. So, that mad brat sat somewhere.
Okay. That mad brat sat somewhere on the stage.
Awesome. Let's try this now. That mad brat sat somewhere on the stage.
That mad brat sat somewhere on the stage.
Ooh, that's an F3 at the end. That's very good and it sounds really soft. You would have probably done this before this session. That mad brat sat somewhere on the stage with a bit more weight. But now you land on a softer sound. Let's try something even more challenging. That mad brat sat somewhere on the stage.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That mad brat sat somewhere on the stage.
It's coming a little, it's starting to creep back in. That mad brat sat
Mm-mm.
somewhere. That somewhere's and it's a good somewhere. Warm, rich, but still soft. Somewhere on the stage. It started creeping a bit back in. Not quite buzzy, but I could tell like a little bit more and it would have tipped a bit too heavy. But that's the main gist of it. What I would say is your voice is very bright. And I think it's that brightness that also trips you up when you go to lower pitches. Because you keep your voice bright all across, but as you go lower in pitch, you have that weight that fills up that really small space, that really bright space. And so it sounds over full, it's overspilling. Not at these pitches, but more so at the lower pitches. So learning how to push some like less air and learning to soften your voice is what gives you the voice hack to reach your lower voice. All right. So, do you have any questions?
I think it's because, at least where I work at, I always have to be screaming at people. So
Yes.
I have
This
to
is
get more
not
used to not
helpful.
doing that.
I mean, like if you are in the workplace, yes, like you could try to like always try to like have your voice chill out when you're not at work. Like always trying to go really soft. But if you are at work, you could rely more on higher pitches, right? Like it's easier to have something perceived if you speak at a higher pitch because our ears are not perfect microphones, and so we pick up higher pitches as sounding louder than what they actually are. So if I say, that mad brat sat on that flat mat really quiet, and I compare that to that mad brat sat on that flat mat. I know it sounds wrong, but they're about the same loudness, right? It's just that our ears perceive that higher pitch as something louder, whereas the lower pitch is, well, the same loudness, but because it's lower frequencies, it doesn't really get our eardrums vibrating the same. I mean, they're really small little drums, so I guess that's a fair assessment enough. But yeah, other than that, I would say generally soften up your lower pitches and your voice is pretty much good to go. And if you have to be louder, try to be louder with higher pitches. Something like, all right, guys, this is coming through. You try instead, all right, guys, this is coming through, which can be like less vocal weight. And also, you might have noticed that at higher pitches, it's harder to be buzzy and thick, right? So you're kind of preventing your voice from, causing, or not causing, but triggering that extra weight. Okay?
Okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
Alright.
Thank you.
Awesome. Best of luck your voice work, Lulu. You did really great. All right, everyone give a big round of applause to Lulu Budai. Woo!
Thank you again.
You're welcome. All right, now next up on stage, we haven't had masc voice. Anyone wants to make their voices sound more
Masculine. No mask voice users today? Really? No one? No one at all? At all? Really?
maybe
If
someone who
you
wants
need
to
a
make.
volunteer, I could try, but I don't know too much about voice stuff.
Okay, sure, why not? Let's go. Come up on stage. Say. Oh, I don't know how to say. Skater X.
I'll try it.
Yes. Okay.
Yo, another one for
Ha.
Skater. I say it Skater. I have that.
Satyr? Satyr? Skater? How do you say it?
I say satyr, so long as you're close enough. I know
Satyr?
you're talking to me.
All right. Another skater. All right. So let's get started. All right,
Oh, it's so
satyr, not skater, but satyr, but kind of skater. Welcome up on stage. First time in one of these workshops?
It is. It is my first
All
time.
right. That's awesome. Welcome. So you're not familiar with concepts of voice like high pitches, low pitches. Are you familiar with stuff such as a really thin vocal fold mass used or a really thick vocal fold mass used? Not at all.
I'll side closer on no.
All right.
I'm
fair
here
enough.
just supporting a friend that wants to work on my
Masculinizing
feminine
their
voice.
voice.
But
Oh,
also, no, feminizing.
that's not how it
But I
works,
have been
y'all.
curious.
Okay.
I have
You're
been
getting mask
curious on
voice.
getting mine lower.
Your voice even more
Masculine, because of course you may become even more of a gigachat if you really try and
That's
you really
right.
want to.
All right, let's try this. So, at least you will be some representation for some people watching at home on their couch, how they can make their voices sound more
Masculine. So how do you sound masculine? All right. How do I make you sound more mask? Let's try this out.
It's okay. So first of all, let's talk about testosterone, right? Testosterone makes the voice do a few weird things during puberty, right? First thing is it drops your Adam's apple. Ow!
It makes your voice really dark and dopey. I did explain that at the very start.
Do you know how to yawn?
I'd say so. I think I do.
Okay, that's a skill you have. So let's try to yawn.
Really dark, big yawn. I'm so tired, Joe.
Can you try it out?
Just trying to keep it around that area.
Yeah.
Oh, if I talk like...
It's not easy yawning in front of an audience, I know.
Yeah, I hope all of our yawns here spread among all of you as well.
Everyone yawns today.
Yawns all around.
Yawns all around.
Like, as you notice, like, your voice kind of like starts like kind of like chill out.
Yawns all
Lower.
Right. So yawns are one way to achieve a darker voice. There's another one, which is the one we generally use for fem voice and for mask voice equally. Just you gotta reverse the things if you want to go one way or the other. You want to make your voice sound more mask, yeah? So in that case, you'll want to take a whisper and tune it to become darker. So I want you to mimic after me here. Well, let's do a bright pat that cat. Pat that cat. Very good. And now you want to take that pat and make the pat darker and darker and darker. As you do this, you can have your hand like kind of laying on your neck and you can feel for a little bump there. Do you feel your bump? It's the Adam's apple. Awesome. So you're going to do the following. Pat, pat,
Pot, pot, pot.
give it a try. Yeah. And try to keep it there.
And now as you keep it there, try to speak with that position of the Adam's apple. Pat that cat.
I notice it like keep going up.
Yeah, it's because your voice wants to take over again. It's like,
Oh, no, we don't speak up
here, we speak up here.
We don't speak down here.
We speak up here. That's your brain being like, no, my voice behavior is up here.
It's not down here. What are you doing?
So it can take a bit of you being used to.
I think that's the lowest I can go.
Pat that cat. I'm sure you can go lower than this. Pa 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 pa. Pat that cat.
Can take a bit of getting used to. You might
You're right,
notice
I
your
could go a little bit lower.
You could go a bit lower with some practice, of course. You might also notice that your tongue lowers in your mouth as your Adam's apple lowers. You can also like make your mouth
Bigger and wider.
to like really get a big space, right? To really maximize all the masculinization effects. Right? And now from here, what you want to do is take that dark whisper
Pat that cat.
and bridge it into a balanced voice, going from a whisper to a breathy sound to a balanced voice where the vocal folds start to vibrate. Well, they already start to vibrate in the breathy sound, but take a close listen.
Pat that cat. And now I have this really dark and dopey voice.
Give it a try.
Dark, dopey voice.
Dark,
Oh, excuse me, I think my
dopey
tracker
voice.
just died.
Oh, what happened? Oh,
Keep going, keep going. I'll change it
it's
out
okay.
while you
Sure,
chat.
I'll keep going. Chatting. So what you got here is, it kind of was like a bit shaky and wavery here.
Pat that cat.
I think it's because you had a bit too much air going on through, or the vocal folds were not properly closing. So you might want to try something like a. We call this a glottal strike. The aim is to get the vocal folds together and reinforce that closure. Okay? Oh, you're still doing the thing. All right.
No, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You good.
It's fine.
Dang. Yeah, I
Yes,
see what you
it
mean.
does. Right? Yeah. Yes. You did it. You went from a
to So you did go darker and kept that closure as you went darker. So like now you could probably like speak a bit more like this
rather than like this. I don't know where your starting voice was at, but like it's kind of like
That's about right here.
It's
And
about
long
right
example
here.
sentences.
Okay.
You probably
Yeah.
got it from just that.
You probably got it from just that. Okay, so
Oh
not
my
quite
goodness.
exactly what you do. Oh my goodness. I don't know. Mimicking voices is helpful to figure out where you're at. Let's try this as well. I want to see how low you can go in pitch. What's the lowest pitch you can speak at?
Oh.
Give it a try.
Alright. Keep that keep that pitch here and say pat that cat. Now you want to try to make your voice more beefy, so from a
Pat that cat.
from the pat that cat to
Notice I'm doing the glottal strikes again. And on each contact, I'm trying to involve more muscle. Imagine you're having a really bad time in the bathroom, or you're trying to lift something really heavy.
Ha! Pat that cat.
Should I emphasize it on like the P, the A, or just all the entire thing?
All the thing.
Entire? Okay.
You can just do the ah sound first. Put physical effort in your voice, quite literally. It can be difficult if you're not used to it.
Pat that cat.
Again?
Pat that cat.
Alright, pat that cat. Right, very good.
Compared to how you would say normally. I guess more of a pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat. How would you say it normally?
Pat that cat.
Yes,
Wait,
very
let me
much
do it with
soft.
more like emphasis.
Sure.
Pat that cat. And
Pat
versus
that cat.
Pat that cat.
I'm sure you can go lower than that. We have seen that you can go.
Pat cat. Okay,
Yeah,
wait, I said
pat
that
that
wrong.
cat.
Pat that cat.
Yeah, pat that cat.
All right, very good. So as you might have noticed, voice training is not super easy. You have to juggle a lot with like pitch, with vocal weight, versus with how dark your voice is. And you have to make sure not to let your Adam's apple go back up to where your usual voice behavior is at, right? Like, well, your voice is like more like around here.
If you like achieve a darker voice, it's eventually
Going to want to shoot back up to your normal voice, right? So you're going to lose that quality as you go through this. So what you want to do is try to keep like a monotonous pitch. Like try to keep the same pitch that you would as you speak. So, not as you speak, sorry. You want it to keep the same pitch so that it's kind of stable and you can really just listen for the darkness or the brightness. For example, I like to use a pitch like E3 for masc voice, because it can be very femme. And if I drop my larynx,
Then that E3 can sound really dark and dopey, right? Oh, pat that cat. Then I want to thicken my vocal fold. Pat that cat. And already here, I'm right into it, you know?
and then I'm also kind of playing with my false vocal folds and like adding some distortion to it,
Because it gives like so much more grain to this voice.
you know? Gives like grunt vibes, you know? So yeah. All right, that's pretty much it. So like there's a lot of elements here that you can practice and fine tune on your own, and I hope that this will help you make your voice even more masculine.
Thank you, thank you. I'm curious about like just all
Mhm.
ranges of voice. I'd want to train my voice just in general.
Well,
Because I
yeah,
think it's
well-
really cool being able to modulate it like you do.
Yeah, go here,
Go here!
go here.
Go here!
A lot of variety in fem voice and masc voice as well. So yeah, thank you for requesting masc voice. And you know, it's not always that we get to work with someone who already has testosterone that happens in their voices, and see that even then it's not easy, and that there's still a lot that voice training can do. Right? Testosterone is not the end goal of a voice. You know, I mean, I dare assume you have had testosterone puberty. I wouldn't be too far off the mark.
I was male at birth. I'm
Okay,
cis,
cool.
So
Cool. Okay,
I've got
that's
plenty of testosterone.
all right. Cool. So as you can see, even you can like gain a lot from practice and like finding those darker voices. So all right, everyone, give a big round of applause to Saterix, Skaterix. Yay!
Skater.
Good job.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Last but not least, we'll get a last fem voice up on stage. If you want to feminize your voice, hop in place, use your hand. All right. You're right in the front, and my sight doesn't go too far. Cheeky Angel, have you already been on stage before?
No, my
All right.
first time.
Come on stage. Come on.
Thank you, lovely.
You can just jump here. Yep. Oh, that works too. Yeah.
Jumping.
All right, everyone, give a big welcome to Cheeky Angel on stage. Woo!
Yay!
Welcome,
Yay!
Whee!
You're sweet.
Welcome. Hi. Okay. All right, Cheeky Angel. Let's get started. So, first time in one of these workshops?
Well, I've attended for a while. You know, just watching, picking up things.
Very good.
Yeah.
I can tell just from your voice that you've already done some practice on it, assuming that you started lower than this, of course.
No, I picked up on things, but not really. Not really. I've been mostly watching and you know, just like picking up things.
All
Yeah.
right, very good. Did you have a masc voice that was lower than this when you first started?
I did have a voice lower than this, yeah.
You don't
Well,
have to
I've
share it
been-
if you don't feel, but it's up to you.
No, I don't mind, honestly, I don't mind. It's just like my everyday, I've mostly been stuck in boy mode for most of the time, because I've been a bit scared of using it, but I know I'm just trying to find confidence with it.
I
And
understand
I'm a
that.
London gal, I'm sorry.
You're what? Sorry?
I'm a London gal, I'm sorry, gal, I'm sorry.
You're a London gal. So
I'm
you
a-
be speaking with a British accent. I won't poke too
no,
much
I'm-
fun at you, honey.
No, it's my natural accent. I'm an
Gotcha.
Essex gal, so that's what.
Oh,
Essex sounds
okay,
like.
Essex. Yeah, gotcha. All right, I'm
Yeah.
not super familiar with British myself. I'm not American, by the way. I'm French, so I know I do
Oh,
hide
that's
the accent pretty well.
Yeah,
but
that's wonderful. Yeah.
it is. So, like, I do know that something interesting that we can differentiate between the British accent and the American accent is that British tends to be darker than American. Typically, I might
Oh.
say, you know, British is darker in American, darker. Ah, bright ah. Whereas British might say, British is
right.
darker. British is
Right.
darker.
It's
Right?
darker, yeah.
Darker.
That sort of
You wouldn't
thing.
say, get in the car, but you would say, get in the car.
I'm
You wouldn't
getting in the
say,
car, love. Yeah.
right, exactly, you know. So you wouldn't say,
Yeah.
the upsetting one, you wouldn't say bottle of water, you would say bottle of
I'm saying
water.
water. I'm saying water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you say water, and beside the T,
Yeah,
that is,
the tea, yeah.
the T is glottal. So the T is not gone. It's actually more different than that. The T is an interruption of the voice. You might already know it. Maybe you don't even know it and you just kind of do it because that's what you grew up learning. You would say, there's actually a break, a stop. Right?
Yeah. That's
Exactly.
what it is, yeah.
It's not just right? There's not a missing sound in there, right? It's just vocal folds actually are doing the consonant, which is really interesting because there's very few languages that do this. That like what we call a glottal T, because it's the T produced by the vocal folds instead of the T produced by the tongue against the teeth, right?
Oh.
So I don't know. I think it's pretty fancy, if you ask me. But anyways, British being fancy. Who thought? Who knew? Okay, so let's talk about your voice. I think you have a very lovely voice already. The main thing I would have to say is that maybe it has a little bit too much vocal fold mass, but it's already very much up here. Like you're talking up here at the higher pitches, your voice is generally softer, and there's a little bit of a lean towards thicker sounds at lower pitches, very similar to I've already forget the names. What's up on stage before? It wasn't Lulu. It wasn't Skater. Sorry. Yeah, it was Sky back there. Oh wait, actually, it was Lulu. Never mind. It was Lulu. Sorry.
Oh, wait.
I'm very good with names, as you can tell. Okay, so.
Don't mind.
So yeah. So.
It's really just trying to. I think about it all the time. I try to think about it. Maybe I'm thinking too much when I do it.
Too much. For example,
Have
here.
you been there with that situation when you started? I mean.
When I started, I mean, wait, was that a question for me? Sorry.
Like when you started, like the voice transition, like you use it every day. Do you have to? Would you like thinking about it all the time, or?
Okay, so it's a bit of a mix of things, right? Because when I first started transitioning my voice, that's the term you used, I had a lot of voice dysphoria to the point where I would like kind of just like not talk for entire days because I was like just using a single sound. Like coughing was like, oh no, my cough is too masculine, you know? I was really bad with dysphoria at my start, and I think this is why it has led me to such a femme voice in the first place, right? Which, by the way, this is not the femme voice I started with. I actually used this femme voice before because my voice dysphoria was so strong that I need to get as far away as possible from my masc voice, which
something like this, by the way, right? I mean, something like this. Chances are that training my voice has made my masc voices even lower than they actually were, which kind of made me realize that, hey, my
masc voice in the start wasn't even that deep to begin with. But dysphoria makes things hard, for real. And I bet you already know about this yourself. So when I did my voice transition, it was a long time. I think it took like me a good year or two to just accept that my voice was feminine. Because I spoke, like, I kid you not, I spoke like this, and I legitimately thought, this is a fake voice. This is not a real voice. This is not a voice that people use. That's because in the back of my mind, I was like, well,
I spoke like this for 18 plus years of my life, so of course, whenever I went from this voice
to this voice, it felt acted, because at the back of my mind, I was like,
my normal voice behavior is this, right? So when I had to
jump to the femme voice, it was like 5% of the time when I was speaking. So it's making that effective switch whenever possible, of course, because I know boy moding is a thing and all that, and some people want to get a somewhat solid voice before moving on and switching forever to that voice. But it took me like a good year or two of using that voice to kind of have my brain accept that this is the normal voice, and now I realize that it was femme all along, but that it just took time to accept it, right? So
Yeah, because your brain has to accept it, and
yeah,
this is
because
my
my brain
voice
kept
now.
pulling my voice back down to
Like a more masculine behavior, right?
because just like you, I had a time where I had like a job where I was like shelving things, whatever, and so I would have to use my mask voice there, right? So it was always like, at home I'm this,
In the real world and this,
at home I'm this,
in the real world and this.
and that was very tiring. So yeah, I'm glad I made that switch someday, but it can be hard to do. So I would say, do I think about it all the time? Not anymore. I used to back then. I think it's kind of partially like I would take 15, 20 minutes, sit in front of the desk, just or whatever on a chair, have my phone, just press record, do like a sentence or two, try to do like a little exercise to brighten my voice. Then I would listen back to it, review it, try to do better, and build up on that behavior. And I would do that for like 10, 20 minutes, and I would just leave it be. And during the rest of the day, when I was under the shower, I would sing, but do some femme voice practice as well, so just speaking. I would make food. I would be bored when making food. I would have like a YouTube video playing. Oh, she has a cool femme voice. Press pause, try to mimic her. Feel like I'm not exactly hitting it, but I'm like, at least I thought about the voice and I used my voice. And I would do this over and over again, like listening to a Twitch stream, a YouTube video, talking to people online, just trying to kind of like monitor your voice as much as possible at the start to kind of normalize it and ease it into your daily life. Okay?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That was a big answer,
taking up all
sorry.
your time now.
No, no. it's totally fine. I just forgot to set up a timer.
That's
So-
right. No.
So regarding your voice, I think your voice is perfectly fine. There is a few things where I think your voice does get a bit heavy to the end of sentences. Like I don't know, like can you just say any sentence right now?
Can't you say anything?
Like for example here, like want me to say anything? Say, like that's a bit thick, so you want to maybe like try to push less air. So I want you me to say anything want me to say anything. Try that.
Say anything?
Just like that, exactly. So it's not happening just on lower pitches, but also in higher pitches. So generally it's a matter of like being aware of like how loud you are. Say anything. Say anything. You don't want to be too quiet either, right? You don't want to sound like say anything. What was that? Say anything. Well, yeah, no one's going to be able to hear you. So
I talk quietly anyway, so yeah.
it's a mix of things, right? Like you don't want to be too loud because then you're going to like trigger vocal fold mass. So you're going to have like a lot more weight to your voice. It's going to sound buzzier. But you don't want to be so soft that people have to like ask you to speak up. So it's a gradient, right? Right? And so you want to probably try and play along that gradient and find what works best. I think somewhere in the middle is perfect. You can sometimes lean a little bit thicker for some effects on your voice. Or maybe like when you're angry, perhaps you have like a bit of a thicker voice. And that's okay. I'm speaking through my teeth, if you can't tell. I'm speaking through my teeth. I'm so angry. You know, and have a bit more vocal fold mass. And maybe I'm like more sad. Then I might go like on the softer, thinner side of things. I'm not crying. It's just, you know, voice acting, right? So that's kind of what you can do with your voice. Play around on that scale of thickness and thinness.
I
And
just play around with the thickness and things like that.
yeah,
Like-
exactly. Try to be thick on purpose. I want to be thick on purpose. Try to be
I
thin
want
on
to be
purpose.
very thick on purpose, yeah.
That wasn't super thick. I want to be super thick on purpose. 2025
What?
savvy.
No, it's just how I talk, I'm sorry.
No, what?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you didn't say anything wrong.
Me
What the-
accent and all that. Yeah.
Don't worry, you're fine. I just said saying I want to be thick on purpose is kind of like a silly sentence to say. I want to hear thin
Well,
on
I know.
purpose. I want to thick on purpose. You know, I'm referring to vocal fold mass.
Thick means stupid in London.
Oh, is it? Oh, I did not know that. I'm sorry. Today I learned.
You're well thick, girl. Yeah, all right.
I'm sure I'm thick, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, you're
I can
lovely.
fade. All right. Well, that's the main takeaway I have for you. So, do try to modulate your voice purposefully, trying to be thinner. So, have a softer voice. Try to be thicker. Have a buzzier, louder voice.
Yeah, I want
try
a softer,
play
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
you
get
want...
in the middle, yeah. Yeah.
Because I think you're already in the middle, but sometimes you speak like this, and sometimes there's a word that gets louder, and then you go back to being softer, you know? So it's more a matter of, like, keeping things even around the middle. It's just that sometimes you kind of deviate from it, so you just want to be careful not to deviate too far from that. I think, like, generally, mostly good vocal fold mass, like, you're generally, like, right in the middle, right between the thin and the thick. Okay?
I have a dysphoria that I think you could relate to. Like, when I laugh, I mean, I go back to male, which is awful.
Do you really? I mean, my theory is that there's no real, like, male laugh or masc laugh unless you go, like, on purpose, like, you know, like, most people don't really go that low. Like, even when I had a masc voice,
When I was like speaking like this, when I would laugh, and like,
like, I would still go higher because just like yelling and screaming, we tend to shift to higher pitches when we laugh, right? It's kind of how we laugh. But if you want to make sure that your laugh is really feminine, you want to just generally like push it higher up in pitch. Try to make it maybe a bit softer. Like maybe like try it for, I don't know, like a
It's something so natural, but I have to be
know.
conscious of it.
It's
know?
difficult to do fake laughs. I'll give that to you.
Yeah.
So just get some memes or something on your phone and just watch those and try to laugh to them and try to purposely change your laugh. I don't know. All right. I hope that helps you out, Cheeky Angel.
Thank you very well. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Everyone give a big round of applause to Cheeky Angel. Woo!
Yay, nice job.
London W. Nice. Okay. All right. So we are about ready to wrap this workshop up. Thank you for being able to do this with me despite the technical difficulties of not having slides, but I think it went all right nonetheless. I hope you enjoyed all of this. Which also, Rory, I will be asking you, do you have any questions from Twitch or from Discord? I'll be taking 2 or 3 of those. Oh, you might be muted, Rory. Maybe you're just taking the time. Oh, there you go. Oh god, this is like the worst thing to do without visuals, to be honest. So, how do I explain this? Simply put. Okay. I need like a good analogy. So, for those of you who don't know, when we use our voice, it's not just one singular frequency. A sound that would be a singular frequency would be something like a whistle. If you were to pass it through like a spectrogram, which is a way to look at, well, the sound and see it visually, when you would see a whistle, you just see just the one line. However, if you push your voice through it, you wouldn't see just one line, you would see a multitude of lines, and you would have like a wide variety of frequencies together. The reason for why we perceive fem voice or masc voice as gendered is because it's that layer of frequencies that will be displayed differently. Quite literally, if I use my voice here, The baseline pitch would be something around, let me guess, like 200 hertz, something like that. I think my phone is almost dead. Yeah. It's 230 hertz, right? So then I would have like multiples of that same frequencies, 230 hertz, and I would have like something at 400, something at 600, 800, 1000, etc., up to infinity. And so like a bunch of lines stacked up on each other. And so the way you would see and visualize a masculine voice or a femme voice will be on which of these frequencies is the loudest in the ladder of frequencies. So if I do something like it might be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth frequency that sounds louder than the other ones. And if I do something like oh, then it would be maybe the second frequency that sound loudest. So again, I don't have visuals on this, so it's really tricky to explain like this. But this is how it plays into harmonics. Because smaller spaces tend to emphasize higher frequencies, and bigger spaces tend to emphasize lower frequencies. A more speaking example to you would be like a contrabass versus a very small violin. Or it would be a big guitar versus a very small ukulele, right? You can tell that these instruments tend to sound different. The guitar is bigger, it sounds warmer because the lower frequencies are better portrayed thanks to the big body of the guitar. If it had no body, it would just sound like, well, really lame, to be honest, because the sound wouldn't have any place to bounce around in. So this is why resonance, or rather vocal tract size, has an effect on the harmonics. I wouldn't advise people to go directly into spectral visualization of using spectrograms and such. I think it's still really important to just use our ears to tell what's going on with our voices. Yeah, if you want, I'll give you better explanations. Do ping me in the Trans Academy Discord, or just DM me if you can find me there. All right, I hope that answers the question, and I hope you learned something alongside this. Okay, do you have other questions? Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay, that's okay. I heard you. Yes, sorry. Alright, so it's really hard to tell without hearing the sound by itself, but given this kind of voice, I'm gonna assume that you're going for a more lower femme voice, something more like this, because like lower voices like this tend to never really be loud in the first place. Like if I was like projected more, it could work a bit, but if I project it too much, then I start to like have more vocal fold mass, and it starts to sound like androgynous, not specifically masculine, just it's kind of going out of that range. So if you want to be louder, I think I already mentioned that to someone else who was on stage, try to just go for for higher pitches. It makes it easier. Also, higher pitches are much less identified as being masculine sounding. As long as you keep your vocal tract small and you keep your voice soft enough, I guarantee you the higher pitches by themselves will already allow your voice to pierce through the loudness in whatever environment you are in. So higher pitches for the win regarding loudness. You can still learn to keep that same-ish pitch if it's not too low, that is. So anything below E3 or F3, you can pretty much ditch, because that's going to be like really hard to feminize loudly. Like, for example, here, like I don't know what pitch this is. Like, this is I just know it's a low pitch. Yeah, this is like a C#3, right? So if I use my femme voice down here, and I can like either make my voice louder by increasing the weight, but then you can notice it sounds really quickly masculine, or worst case scenario, like a goblin if my voice is really bright. So you make my voice soft again. And what I can try to do is add more air. And then close the vocal fold around that extra air again. And then I can have like a slightly louder, lower pitched voice. But that's about the limit. I can't go much further, otherwise it just starts to kind of break apart, as you might have experienced before. So if you have a really low pitched voice, I would recommend looking for something that can move a little bit higher up in pitch. And just in general, even if you have a lower voice, like if I'm using a voice down here, and if I want to be louder, I might go like up here, for example, and then I might go a little bit lower, right? And it will still stay mostly in the fem range. So yeah, just because you want to go for a specific pitch range doesn't mean you should stay fully stuck in it, especially for different situations where you might want to speak up. Okay? I hope that answers your question. And I guess we'll be wrapping it up here. So, thank you all today. Wait, we have a question here in that case. What's a good way to increase pitch without slipping into falsetto unintentionally? No. Unintentionally. Okay. I would say you would want to really lean into vocal fold mass. So as you go up in pitch, and if I go up higher here, either I let my voice kind of like flip to falsetto and I go higher. When we do the softies, I keep finding falsetto turning on by itself. Okay, like falsetto is not bad, it's just the way you use it that can be bad. For example, if I speak up here, it's not super great, but if I make my vocal folds close a bit more, then these higher pitches actually sound pretty normal and can actually be used in conjunction with my lower pitches, right? Aha! Exactly. Falsetto is not bad. You shouldn't avoid it, but you should be aware that falsetto can be more difficult and has certain requirements. I was onto something. Lol. Yeah, I know we have a lot of that M2, M1 differentiation, that modal voice, that falsetto voice differentiation a lot in terms of ranges. But to prevent your voice to flip into falsetto altogether, singers have a technique called belting. So it's about keeping a lot of vocal weight and just pushing through it. And you can go really high like this. It's not a super pleasant sound to listen to, that is, but it can get you really high up there. Generally, you do want to flip to falsetto or to M2, and just work on making your M2 sound nicer, because it's going to be a lot better than just really high pitches that sound really loud, right? You're going to have a and I already started to make my voice softer, because my voice is soft enough, I can go over the break really easily, right? So that's what you want to do, okay? Best of luck your practice. Na. Why is holding a swallow coming up here? I didn't even know you were practicing this. Yeah, never practice by holding a swallow, everyone. When you swallow, well, you close your voice, so it's not gonna be a really good voice to use. I advised you on it before. I advise you against it, please. I never said swallow and hold is good. Jeez. And then someone's gonna edit my voice and be like, I teach swallow and hold. Okay. No, I know. All right. All right. There you go. I hope I answered your question at least. Don't do swallow and hold, everyone. All right. So let's wrap it up. So, everyone, my name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization and voice masculinization. I also teach stuff such as singing, voice acting, and strange sounds, such as yeah, human beatboxing is pretty cool, and I teach that too. So if you want to learn anything like that, you can always try and hit me up on Discord. If you want to find me on Discord, you can just click on me on my bio, and you will find my Discord server over there called Scientifically Augmented Voice. We are a community of people who work on their voices. People can review your clips. I can look at your voice as well in there. And I do public lessons over there that are not exactly like a workshop. It's more like a one-on-one session that's like an hour long, but you can ask questions in the chat and just, follow along, just like this workshop, for free. But if you do want to have a private or a public lesson with me, you can hit me up in Discord at savvy_sav, all in small letters, in lowercase. And that's about it. But no matter what you choose to do, I'll be around next Sunday, hopefully with the slide system working. And I'll be seeing y'all around on the next Sunday. Thank you all for participating today in this first workshop, by the way, in the new academy. So thank you so much for showing up today. And I'll be seeing you all again on the next Sunday. Bye, everyone!